you've got to practice teaching. We practice our form, but nobody practices teaching. In business, nobody practices enrollment. They practice on their students. So no
Yeah.
wonder nobody enrolls. I mean, in Kali, Master Apollo is one of our warrior instructors for Kali, and he'll tell everybody, before you can do this, you need 10,000 reps. How many reps do you need in business before you should enroll somebody? I
Yeah.
don't want you practicing on a white belt because I expect you to save their life by enrolling them. So it takes 10,000 reps. It's this martial arts and the business are parallel. But you've got to have it all. But the main thing is you got to want to be really good yourself.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Seven Figure Secrets podcast. Jennifer Waters here, and I'm here today with my dad, Tommy Siegler, and our very special guest, Grandmaster Clark. So excited to have him here. Welcome to the podcast, sir. How's your day going?
It's fantastic every day, and thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to see you and speak to your people and hopefully spread some information that'll help somebody.
Yeah, for sure. And you've got a lot of things that you've been involved in over the years. You've got a lot of new things, including being an author of your book, Attitude, The Warrior Way. It's coming out this year, and super excited to be able to read that. But for anybody who's been living under a rock for the last, 30, 40 years, tell people what you've done, what you do currently in the industry, and let's maybe start there.
Well, it's a long time. I could start in the beginning. That was 1966 when I started martial arts, probably before either one of you were born. So it was a long time ago.
I started in 70, so I'm there.
I was in the beginning with one of the largest organizations in the world, the American Taekwondo Association. I was very close with the founders, Master Reed and Grandmaster H.U. Lee. And I had the privilege of working beside them until we built those up to about 700 schools. And when Grandmaster H.U. Lee passed away, I was fortunate enough to be among a bunch of great instructors that we developed a Masters Council to keep that organization going. We got it all the way up to 1,242 schools. And then they hired a new CEO and kind of things took a different direction. But I was fortunate and blessed to be in that group. I also was a professional fighter with PKA. I fought around the world. I won tournaments, but mainly I built instructors. Since I opened my school in 1971, I focus on instructors all the time. I don't focus on white belts. So I develop curriculum and I focus on instructors. And the most important part is, how do you teach whatever curriculum you're teaching? Whether it's jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, Krav Maga, the how-to is more important than the what-to. So I've focused on that since the very beginning. When I left Omaha, I got married on a Friday night and started driving to Jacksonville. And Master Reed said, don't lose money ever. And Grandmaster H.U. Lee said, focus on instructors. And that's what I've done.
Wow.
To lose capital, don't lose principal, don't have month after month where you're losing money, and focus on your instructors. And a similar concept, I just want to touch base for anybody who's out there in the ATA. The last time I ever saw Grandmaster H.U. Lee, and Master Reed asked him, he said, well, do you think this will keep going? And he said, absolutely. And he said, why do you think that without you? And he said, because the people want it to. And that was his whole thing. And that inspired me. And I said, what do you want me to do? And he said, you take care of the seniors and they'll take care of everything else. Just take care of the seniors for me when I'm gone. And that stuck with me forever. And that's what we try to do.
Wow. That's incredible. That's a lot of things that you've done and been pivotal. And, I'm a little bit of a fangirl over here. I remember growing up reading articles about you, reading all kinds of things, and very fortunate to have this opportunity to talk with you. And I know, Dad, there's a lot of things we were talking about that our audience, our school owners will be interested in hearing. Like, maybe I'll just let you kind of dive into the next part.
So, Grandmaster Clark, let's start with something. You talk about school owners and building up empires and things of that nature. What are some key things that you have done to create such a large, massive business empire?
I think that most people are focused on, they're worried about what they're teaching, not how they're teaching. Most people are worried on, and once somebody becomes a black belt, they seldom get instruction on how to teach. No one really watches their juniors teach. No one teaches under a critical eye of somebody saying, this is how you can be better. And I have a quadrant system that I use to rate instructors and help them be better. Every time I watch them teach, I make marks on a paper that says, here's what I like. You can't just say, look, your class was terrible, your class was great. That's not enough because every great class could get better. And I think you got to focus on the fact that we're trying to transform adults and children's lives. We're not just teaching how to punch. People are so concentrated on their martial art. Now, I have martial arts that I've developed and organized, not developed, but organized, that I love. But how you deliver that information is more important. So I think if you focus on what happens after you become an instructor, how do you get better? And then how do you get better again after you become a master? But nobody focuses on that. They just reward you for being a master. And in my particular situation, at mastership, all the personal transformation starts. And that's it's not a reward for what you've done. It's what are you going to do? We have a 99-day transformation that every January we all enter into, the old masters and the new masters, and we go through 99 days of specific task, become, we call it dare to be great and train to be extraordinary. And we declare over that 99 days who we are and what kind of master we are. I think that's the time to get better. Two times. One, you become a black belt, you get better. You become an instructor, you get better. You become a master. That's not the end of your trail. That's the beginning of the most important part. Redefine, it's almost like rebirth. And most people don't have all those things in place. They make a few black belts, not a lot, but almost all of them put on a sign up says we are a black belt school. I say, how many black belts you got? Well, not that many. But I mean, 40 to 60% of your student body that's paying you should be black belts.
That's
People
it.
have, most people might have 10%, or everybody quits at black belt.
Yeah.
But I believe that everything starts at black belt, whether you're teaching or not. And you've got to have a certain curriculum that carries you. We have a 10-year rotation once you become a black belt where you're always learning something new, where you're testing. I mean, so I mean, at the warrior system, we teach people, they go train, they go teach, and they come back and test. So that's it. I don't concentrate too much on tournaments, although we do have the warrior games, but that's not my focus. My focus on transforming people's lives from white belt to 10th degree black belt. We have curriculum for that, and we have a method of doing it.
You highlighted a couple of things there I just want to dip into for a moment.
Okay.
One, I love the you're very focused on instructors and on teaching and not necessarily the what. But I think just because you're saying that doesn't diminish the quality because you're focused on the people that are teaching the what.
Right.
You're getting them to keep that quality because you're focused on them. But you mentioned having white belts to 10th degree black belt. I think a lot of people are just focused on, I got to get them to black belt. Was there a shift for you where you made that conscious decision to get people past black belt or?
I think that because ATA had a pretty good ranking, but the problem was all you did was learn a new form every time you wanted to go up in rank. Then
Mm,
you had to wait a certain number of years, and that was very powerful. But you weren't really learning that much. You might have been learning the weapon or learning the new form, but after a certain age, you didn't get better. So I had to become all about people. I always wanted to train. If you ever teaching black belts is more fun than teaching white belts
Oh yeah.
yeah.
and teaching. We have our warrior weekends here in our master's training, and we'll have 150 to 250 black belt high rank instructors from first degree to 10th degree black belt, all training at the same time in one of the warrior systems. Because people that like to train and have a path to get higher rank, most people just don't have a path. They don't know, okay, I'm on my own. I don't have an instructor. I'm third degree. I'll make myself a fourth degree. It's kind of like kissing your sister. It's just not that satisfying. It's just you've got to have another path, another way to do it. And so I think having a path for people, it's like when you set a goal for a white belt to be black belt. Everybody does it, or they should if they don't. Whether
Right.
you're, no matter how you're charging them, every child should, as soon as possible, set a big goal to make a black belt. Before they finish that, they should have a goal to second, third, or instructor. And before they get halfway through that rank, they should be setting a goal to mastership. But if you don't have a path, it's no wonder you don't find people on the path. So I think that's when I switched, probably by the second year of my school, when I had first degrees quit. So there
Oh,
was no real curriculum. But I made black belts in the first year that I opened up because a lot of people were attracted to Jacksonville and the way I was teaching. And I had black belts from other styles say, what's next? I think people don't have a curriculum, they don't have a method, and there's no reason to get higher rank unless you're building an army. In an army, you need rank. If you're by yourself, rank's not that important. I think if I'm an instructor and I'm a third degree, when I announce, I'll make a I'm going to test for my 4th degree. Let's say January of next year. I want all of y'all to train with me. I want all of you students to set a new goal. So you're a 2nd degree now. Let's set a goal to 3rd degree. Let's train together. You get everybody like like every church has what going on? What does
Oh,
every
yeah.
church have? They have a building fund.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so everybody buys into it. So when the instructor announces their next rank, we have a lot of people that use the Warrior. They don't teach Warrior, but they use Warrior as their personal training method. And they announce their testing or announce they're going to be a master. They go back and ask every student to set a new goal with them and train up until January. Then they go back and do a testing. I think when you get everybody on your bandwagon because you're making a new rank or your testing's in 3 years, when you can have that kind of focus and everybody can go with you, when you take them on a journey, you'll have black belts. But most
Wow.
people don't have a method of doing it, or they don't
Yeah.
have a curriculum, and they really don't think about it. They're too busy trying to make a dollar. And you need to make money. But when you have the right system, you automatically make money. That's what I mean. When you plug everything in, it our business is seamless. I don't did you hear that, or is that just me old?
Yeah, no, I think I come through on this
All right.
side. Yeah. Sorry
I
about
think my time was up and I was going to get
that.
the
No, good. All good. All
okay.
good.
I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah.
really does. I think it really does. And I think that um, obviously there's a lot of people that think that they're going to get students to stay, but just something as powerful as what you just said, like announcing what is your next step as a martial artist
Right.
in that next journey, that's gold right there.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so I mean, was this something that you were also doing inside of the ATA, like you were
Absolutely.
implementing these types of things? Like what was the involvement there?
I was fortunate enough to have the freedom from Grandmaster H.U. Lee and Master Reed, and then later on the Masters Council support, and we were able to develop. We had to develop when I started in 1968. I went from Aikido to Taekwondo. There were 5 forms and 10 one-step sparring, board breaking, and sparring. That was it. There wasn't curriculum. And when you became a black belt, learning that stuff, you had to teach that stuff. So there really wasn't a long-term journey except through teaching or competing. And I want there to be a lifetime journey through instruction and personal learning and personal improvement. That's what it's all about for me. Can a
Mm.
55, 65-year old 6th degree master improve from that day forward? And the answer is absolutely yes. I've done it
Yeah.
over and over again through my master's training. The Dare to Be Great program starts in January. And every time I put people through it, they come back and say, I never knew I could make this much progress. I've had people tell me in the last 40 years, I didn't make this much personal improvement. And that's what, when you get to black belt, that training starts. When you become instructor, that training starts. When you get to master, that training starts. But without a clear path, it's no wonder nobody's on the path.
Mm. Yeah.
And
So
you said I don't concentrate on curriculum. My second thing is I do build very powerful curriculum, and I have a
Mm,
standard they have to reach, but I'm training the instructors to deliver that. My instructors are better than me at teaching, but it's because we designed it that way. I mean,
mm,
my job is to light the path and say, here's where we're going. Their job is actually deliver the product in a fantastic professional way.
mm.
yeah, you're the visionary. You know where you want to go, and you show them the way. Um, so how did you get started with the warrior martial arts schools? I know you were with the ATA, and you've explained a little bit how you transitioned, but
But
uh,
I'm still with the ATA. I
okay.
just participate. Once they had a new CEO and he didn't need my help, I I didn't need that. I was already developing the Warrior system starting 25 years ago, and I delivered that product to the ATA and allowed them to use my Warrior fitness program. It's called Warrior X Fit. I took that to them. I took Krav Maga to them through summer camps. They still use a lot of my stuff, and I'm thankful for it. It's a great organization. I'm still a part of it, but I don't have anything to do. So I've already built my own schools. Matt Von Spelling and I got 60 schools together, and maybe another. We just made our 1,000th certified instructor in Warrior uh,
Wow.
January in January of this
Congrats.
year. So and what I teach in Warrior is everything I liked when I quit competing. Because when you're competing, you just training point fighting and training your forms. But then what did I like to do? I took Gracie. Like you said earlier, you met me at a Gracie seminar. I
Right.
spent 3 years flying to California, trained directly with Hicks and Gracie. Every quarter, I'd go out for a whole weekend of training 4-hour days, day after day after day. I took Master Alamar with me, was a big guy in the ATA. I brought him here to have some, I trained with some very famous Kali people. I love Krav. I love Muay Thai with Master Toddy. So everything that I like doing, I fought 19 professional fights with PKA, kind of like you said, you fought Jerry Trimble, one of Richard Hamilton's students, who's one of my students. So I love that part. So I teach kickboxing. Everything I loved, I put into Warrior. I thought, well, if I like this stuff, other people will. Because most people, when you reach a black belt in your style, there's not much left. There's not much transformation left.
Yeah.
I put this together for real martial artists that like to train. If you like to observe training, you might not like Warrior. But if you like to train and learn, and if you like to have a financially successful business, you'll like Warrior.
Awesome. Awesome.
I don't know, that may be too confusing or too much.
No, that's great. I love the way you innovated and put things together. That's the way you have to
I
do
know
it.
that the ATA, and I'm still in the ATA. If you like tournaments, ATA runs the best tournament circuit in the world, and I've competed in all of them. We are relaunching PKA this year with Grandmaster Jeff Smith and Grandmaster Joe Corley. So those of you who like watching PKA in the past, you'll see a relaunch of that product, that whole program. It's going to be fantastic. That's why I still teach kickboxing.
Sweet. Sweet.
No, you've seen a lot of different martial arts schools, and our friend Jason Flame had you on his podcast as well a while ago, and so I peeked at some of the things there and was listening to a few things, and you were doing coaching and consulting for schools as well, and I'm sure you're still obviously involved with schools. From your perspective, if you had to just boil it down, like what are some of the key factors you just mentioned if they want to be successfully financial, like your warrior method is incorporating that. So what do you feel are the key things school owners have to do to be successful if they want to run a martial arts school that's profitable?
I think one of the biggest problem is we have information overload. So constantly, if I can go to a seminar, I can go to a Maya convention, I can go to any convention, and I'll hear 10 different ways how to enroll somebody. I'll hear somebody say, don't upgrade anybody, I'll pay cash everybody out. Somebody else say, just build your billing check. Very confusing, and it creates inertia in my in the industry. What I'd like is someone to pick a path. Like if you pick Warrior, we also train business. Like the next seminar we have anybody who's ever thought about doing a business seminar with Grandmaster Von Schmeling, who arguably has the most successful multi-level program in the world. Him and I are doing a multi-level part, and for the owners during the next warrior training. We teach business. It's just my emphasis on having the best possible instructors possible, and then helping them make money by having business systems behind it. But for me, it's not business first. For me, it's martial arts first with great instructors. And if then you're allowed, I don't even let anybody come to my business seminars if they don't train. If they don't
Mm.
physically train with Warrior, I won't teach them how to make money. You don't deserve, if you're not still training, as far as I'm concerned, regardless of your age, I won't help you make money because I want martial artists. Means you might have used to be a black belt, but if you haven't trained in the last 2 years, you're not one anymore.
Right.
You'll have the title, but people who want to train, I will help them make a tremendous amount of money. And but I don't advertise that. I advertise the physical part because there's a lot of people already fitting that need yourself. A lot of people out there will help you make money, and I think if that's your focus, not the martial arts part, get help. But you can't get 10 different recipes and make the same chocolate cake. I mean, that's just.
Yeah.
But they'll take one thing from you and one thing from Maya and one thing from Dave Kovar, and it just that doesn't get you anywhere. Pick a path, be successful. If it doesn't work, find somebody who's actually making it work. If you want to have multiple schools, you should listen to Master Von Schmeling. He has 45 of his own, plus he has my 15 under his direction now. And we're about to launch an effort to take it to 1,000 schools. So,
Wow.
and we have a format already and a process to help people be part of something great. So, I mean, we built ATA to up to 1,000 schools, but it took 50 years.
Mm.
I don't have 50 years. Well, maybe I do. All the stuff that they're coming up with, I already have a seminar scheduled for when I'm 120 on my birthday. So maybe I'll make it that
Love
far.
it.
But at 77, I still feel pretty good. So,
Yeah.
I mean, but you have to have a physical goal, a health goal. But if you don't concentrate on marketing and sales, If you think sales are not part of our business, you just won't make it. If you don't think you have to have an option, an organization way to run a, I mean, there's a certain way to run a school. It's not just you make it up every day and you change it every day.
Yeah.
Have to have a curriculum that's acceptable both by you and your standards and the community. I mean, you have to have a curriculum that really is acceptable, but you have to also teach fantastic instructors. If you concentrate on that and help instructors make money, not the owner, help instructors make money and have a career, not just a job working for you, and you have a path for them to get better. I mean, every 5 years, something has to change in an instructor's life, or guess what? Something will change. They'll either be your competitor, or they'll work for your competitor, or they'll do another job. So they have to have constant growth too. I don't think you should be their boss. You should be their instructor, or find someone to represent their instructor. Just like I use Grandmaster Lee to hold all my people together. Just like the Catholic Church uses the Pope, but he uses God. You know, everybody, you can't just be, no, I'm the best there ever is. And as soon as they're as good as you, they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to have some kind of format. And I allow people to use the warrior martial arts is a teaching and training system. It's not really a style like you would consider
Right.
Krav Maga or Kung Fu, and it's not that. It's just a bunch of instructors from ATA, from GTMA, from Master Lawrence Arthur's group, from Europe, from South America, coming together to train together. I train beside, like you and I train together at Gracie, and
Yeah.
I think training together, we're going to put on our pants, put on our logo shirt. We're all going to match, and I'm going to train by 8th, 9th degree black belts. I might only be a 3rd degree black belt. I don't know what rank you were when you and I trained together, but that's what has to happen in the martial arts. You have to be training with people better than you, worse than you. When they're not as good as you help them. When they're better than you learn. So, I mean, that's why we put so many people in a room together. But you'll be in a room of 150, 200 people, all with the same path to be the best damn martial artist you can be. Sorry. You
No,
just
no.
gotta
Love
get
you.
you gotta get better. I mean, if you think you're the best there ever is, you're not.
All you got to do is hang around people that you grew up with and that I grew up with and compete. And once you compete, you know how good you are and how good you kind of know where you fall into. And that was real helpful for me. Let's talk about leadership skills. You know, you got systems, you got all these things. How important is it to have leadership skills in your organization?
First off, I think you personally have to know what you're trying to achieve with a student. For me, I already know exactly what I'm trying to produce. I want to produce students that are emotionally powerful, that are
Mm.
physically strong, and technically fearless. That means I've got to teach real martial arts. I can't just teach another form and say, go use that in the street. If I want people to be combat ready for the street, if I want people to be ready for a tournament, that's one thing. If I'm trying to create emotionally powerful executives, because half of my students are executives, they're
Mm.
not all 3-year-old students, or they were 3-year-old and now they're executives.
Yeah.
I'm trying to create people that I used to have on all my walls, make America great, one black belt at a time. And that's what I'm trying. But if in the end of the day, if they don't come up emotionally powerful where they can actually feel good about it, if they don't feel that martial arts inside, if they're not physically strong, if they don't have, I mean, I'm 77, but I'm still working on my muscles and stuff,
Oh, yeah.
in martial arts. And if the techniques I'm teaching don't work, so that's my first target because I've got to be satisfied as an instructor, but I have to have a set of principles that I work on. And I've had these for a long, long time. My 5 principles I will not deviate from. Number one, I'm going to be happy with every single thing I do or find a way to make myself happy with it. Like when you invited me to this, if
Yeah.
I didn't think I can have fun and I wouldn't be happy, I would just say no.
Mm.
First guiding principle. So you can't be happy all the time. I disagree. If you've ever asked me how I'm doing for the last 60 years, I've told you I'm fantastic because I rebranded myself a long time ago. Somebody, how you doing? I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm all right. I've been better. That's not me. No
Yeah.
matter when you talk to me, I'm fantastic. I feel every morning I get up and do that battle too. Do you feel good? No, I feel good. I feel great. I feel fantastic. And if I don't get up, I keep doing that until I beat myself to get up, So, but that's number one. Number two, and Grandmaster Lee gave me freedom. I want to be free, financially free, physically free to do everything I want to do. and time free. I need to have time freedom. You have to work to get that, but I'm working towards freedom in all those areas. I want to be young. I want to be young through martial arts movement, and I'm not going to be this young again. Neither are you.
Right.
You won't be this young again. You better take advantage of it. So I want to recognize, and anything that comes up that'll help me stay young forever. That's my goal. Mentally, physically, emotionally, I'm going to be young. Number one, my goal, number four, is to help somebody every day without thought of remuneration or past history. A lot of people say, why are you helping that guy after all this time? What happened in the past, my job, I get number four out of the way, I might not help him. But if number four is unsigned for, I'm going to help somebody every day. I start every day with a $10 or $20 bill in my pocket to hand to the first needy person I see. I'd say, well, why are you helping these beggars? They're going to do drugs. That's not my problem. What they do with it, I'm going to help somebody every day. And number five, I'm willing to fall in love with my product, with the people around me, with my staff, with my instructors. If you're not willing to emotionally commit through love, you won't be successful. So those five principles help me run my school. And if it makes sense to you, or it might
Okay.
be too woo woo, but I've done it forever, and I check those boxes off every day. What am I going to do? Is this going to help me be free or not? And that's another reason I don't travel as much anymore, because I'm living my life. And 1976, I decided to live on vacation, and those principles came from that. So I mean, you got to be financially. I have a whole banking system I use too, and I help my instructors do. I got a lot of rules for them if they work for me, how they have to have banks, how they have to spend money. Money has to have a purpose. Just all money's not equal.
Yeah.
And where they are and what the purpose is. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
No, it makes a lot of sense. And do you find that this is what I've found, and obviously we haven't been running our our school as long as you have been running all of yours, but are you finding that people are less and less financially astute as the years go on? Like you're having to educate them more about finances?
I I, I think that people get excited either through desperation or inspiration, and some of
Mm,
that comes from finances. You can get desperate and be inspired. I mean, people, they care about it to their own level. Some people care about freedom more. Some people care more about winning a trophy at a tournament. Some
mm,
people worry more about taking care of their family. But I think as the head of a family, I'm supposed to protect and provide, whether I'm a man or a woman. My job is protect and provide. And one of the things I do is I protect my own health, or I can't help them. So I've got to take care of myself. But financially, I'll train my people on the importance of money. Because people say money's not important. No, but the lack of it is. The
yeah.
lack becomes very important. So,
Yeah.
uh, and everybody doesn't have to come to me already understanding the power of money, but almost every martial arts instructor, you say, how much money do you want to make? They go, more. How much work do you want to do? They go, less. I want to match each other, but I can help people make money. If they
Yeah.
want to make money, I can still help them make money. It's a few set of principles. You do certain things in a logical order, and you go. I mean, we have people doing 135,000 a month. We got people doing 35,000 a month, getting the same information. But when they get inspired, they move up, they move up, they move up, or something happens in their life, they move down, they move. Their feelings are not under my control, but my job is to train everybody equally, make the most money from everybody, but help them make the most money that they're comfortable with. Some people
Mm.
want more time off, like I said. Some people said, "Can you just give me a trophy? Yeah, I'll send you to a tournament for that. We'll have awards." But I mean, success leaves clues, and if I
Yeah.
can have, I think proximity is one of the most important things. Like at our master's training and in my seminars, I want people sitting by people that are successful.
Mm,
And that if you're hanging out with the same broke friends for the last 5 years, you'll all be broke for the next 5 years.
yeah.
If
It's
you're
true.
not around people already doing it and willing to share with you, you won't. People call me, oh, can you help me do this? And they come to the seminar. You can't just get it over the phone. I mean, it's not it's not salt and pepper you put on a steak. No, this is a process. You've got to be immersed. Like if you want to learn Spanish, they'll probably try to send you to a cooking school or a dance school in Spain or in Mexico, and you immerse yourself into it. That's the fastest way. If you want to make money, get immersed. It's almost like doing the cold plunge. If you ever
Yeah.
done it, but staying in there. You've
Yeah.
got to, and it's painful sometimes to realize you have to change. Most instructors, like you said, they assume they're good. one's ever watched them teach or given them feedback because all their instructors and all their students tell them they're great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that doesn't mean anything. Are you transforming their, if you don't have 40 to 60% of your students are black belts, you're not good. Whether that embarrasses you or not, you're not good.
Right.
A great friend of mine once, his name was Parker Shelton, one of the best martial artists I ever saw. At the Battle of Atlanta, we were standing side by side watching some competition, and I was amazed by him. He was a great guy. I said, "How many black belts have you made?" He'd been in business about 30 years. He said, "I made 8." And I said, "You are the absolute worst instructor I've ever met, unless you have a different idea of what a black belt is." I know
Yeah.
some it takes forever. Here's the deal: if you got to, in my mind, being a black belt just means you've mastered the very basics, and I can look at the standards, and you can do the basic things correctly. Because for me, once you put the black belt around your waist, now training starts.
Yeah.
Before is like a giant intro to life. Like all of us teach an introductory class to get people signed up, but all the color belt training is an intro to how to live your life as a black belt the rest of your life. That's all. It's an intro. It's not the end. Now, if I'd had to wait 17 years, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. And that's something that, I working with other school owners across different types of styles and organizations, a lot of people are still in that old school mindset. I don't give out, this is the phrasing, I don't give out black belts. Well, I'm not asking you to give out a black belt. I'm asking you to create a structure where someone could earn that. They could earn the mastering and the basics. When you're looking at the instructors that you've trained, the best of the best, what are the qualities that those instructors have when it comes to teaching their students and producing great black belts?
I will promise you, your skill level as a martial artist has nothing to do with your ability to teach.
Mm,
Nothing to do with it. I'm sorry. When I joined ATA, it was in 1968 in December. By that June, I was a chief instructor in that school, and I'd never taken Taekwondo before. I
wow.
turned out okay.
Yeah.
I will say that the ability to want to help people, the ability to want to be in front of the class, if you don't like teaching, then you shouldn't be an instructor, no matter how good you are. There are great athletes that shouldn't teach.
Mm,
And there's some mediocre athletes that I would love to have on my floor. There are some cheerleaders or hosts at restaurants that are very cheerful and engaging. I can teach them how to teach martial arts in one weekend, and I
mm,
can teach them next month's curriculum. You don't have to be a 10th degree black belt to teach a 6-year-old white belt.
Right.
Most schools, 80% of their students are color belts. How good do you have to be to teach this and this and this? You don't have to be that good.
yeah.
You have to have a desire to help people. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
have to go through a 4-year master's degree. You don't have to be 50 years to teach a 3-year-old tiny tiger.
Mm,
Are confused. Now, if you want to have an MMA school, you need skill set, and they'll expect you to be better than him. But I watched Angelo Dundee in the later years of his life work with Muhammad Ali in Miami one day, and I don't know that he was ever an athlete, but he was one hell of a coach.
yeah.
Yeah.
You have to have a desire to help people. So, in the past, when you made black belt, you could teach. I don't know if it's even necessary. I wasn't a black belt. And that the school I was at in Omaha, there were 30 black belts in that school. When they gave me the chief instructor job, they all went downtown and were trained with Grandmaster H.U. Lee, and I don't blame them. I didn't even know all the forms at that time,
Yeah.
but I could teach. I could teach. And so,
Wow.
and I know how to train instructors better now. Better than me is Master Von Schmeling. He spends a lot of time training the instructors now. He does it better than me, and he should. He was one of my associates, and so he does better than me. And I expect our juniors to train instructors better. It should get better and better. Not here's the number one guy. Next guy's a little bit worse. Next guy's a little bit worse. Next guy's a little bit worse. That's kind of how it goes because you do what you remember they did, but you got to practice teaching. We practice our form, but nobody practices teaching. In business, nobody practices enrollment. They practice on their students. So no
Yeah.
wonder nobody enrolls. I mean, in Kali, Master Apollo is one of our warrior instructors for Kali, and he'll tell everybody before you can do this, you need 10,000 reps. How
Mm,
many reps do you need at business before you should enroll somebody? I don't
yeah.
want you practicing on a white belt because I expect you to save their life by enrolling them. So it
Exactly.
takes 10,000 reps. It's this martial arts and the business are parallel. I mean, but you've got to have it all. But the main thing is you got to want to be really good yourself. So
Mm.
we have people from, like I said, every association in the world, from Korea coming. They may be a Taekwondo person, they may be a jiu-jitsu person. We train them in our systems. No matter what, they'll be a better instructor. I can. We don't actually teach straight jiu-jitsu, but I can make jiu-jitsu instructors much better at teaching jiu-jitsu. Program system, and we watch, and we here's how you grade, and we help them make enough money that they can afford to go to your tournaments. They can afford to go to your seminars. They can afford to go to your next tournament. I mean, so if they don't make money, they can't do all the stuff you want your association to do. So you've got
Yeah.
to do all that, you know.
Yeah.
That's that's a lot of information. And in the end, you've still got to make 35% profit or you can't stay in business for a long time.
Yeah.
Got to.
You've got to make 35% profit after you've paid everybody, including yourself, or business doesn't work.
Yeah, that's good. So let's change gears. You are a, I'm trying to think of a word. You are a master at doing this, and I've learned so much just in the first 30 minutes we've been talking. It's unreal. Let's
Yeah.
talk. Let's talk mindset. And what what do you think? What's the mindset that you think needs to shift in the martial arts industry as a whole? Now, that's a lot of stuff. I know, but what would be helpful, a shift in the mindset, and what would that be?
I don't know that it has to shift. I mean,
Okay.
everybody gets what they want out of it, but the secret is they don't know what they want.
There you go.
First
Yeah.
thing is understand there's a few things you have to know. One, you have to know, what do I want out of my own training? What do I want to become? I've become Jesus already. I don't need any improvement. But what do you want to become? And once you get that, then you say, what do I want my students to become? What do I want my instructor to be? And then what am I mean, you've got to know what you actually want.
Mhm.
Financially, you've got to know your number. The average instructor doesn't know their number. Like, how much do I actually need to make? I don't need to work more than that. They don't know. They just want to make more, more, more. So they really make less, less, less.
Mm.
Because they don't know. They can't tell me what they want. Not personally, not in their family, not for their children. They don't know exactly what they want. So the mindset is find out what you want and then get all the training necessary to do that. But you should be getting better in all areas of our business every single year, if not every single day. So in our master's training, we have a way to improve based on how you live your day. Because here's the deal. First you make your principles, then your principles make you. It's not
Mm.
the way around. So the habits you do every day will determine what you get. It's not one day. I do buy lottery tickets still. That may be outside of that, but you have the right habits, you can be successful in all those areas I talked about. And if you have the wrong habits, there's no way that you can overcome your habits.
Right.
If you don't beat the sun up every day, you won't be as successful as people that do, or that you would be if you did. I was young, I stayed out late. I still beat the sun up every single day. And I don't like it. It's just what I do. And I live my life in 3-hour segments, and all our masters do the same thing. I I have a certain food. I don't eat wheat. Wheat is absolutely poison. If you're eating wheat, I'm sorry. I'll live longer than you.
I don't eat it either.
Wheat is poison. Um, there are certain things I do. You have to hydrate. We every 3 hours we start over with our hydration. There are certain rules you follow. Uh, I forget what the question was, but mindset I think it was.
Yeah.
But your mindset has to be on what you want, not on what you think everybody else wants. Because people are running around trying to please everybody. But if you're not your best, you can't please anybody.
That's true.
Every man, every woman has to be the best they can be for their family. You have to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And when you get that, and that becomes what you think about, and if you make yourself better, everybody around you will be better. But
Mm.
if you're getting worse, they'll get worse. I don't know if that makes sense because
Yeah.
it's kind of internal focused, but I think that's the mindset. First, find out what you want and get it. And it's easy, but all the information's out there. You offer training. There's all kind of training for your business. There's all kind of martial arts training. Uh, I mean, it's all there, but you got to know what you want first, or you'll just stay on the path you started at. If you
Yeah.
started in Taekwondo, you'll be Taekwondo 50 years later, whether it's the right path for you or not. And
Mm.
truthfully, once you can't kick above your head, Taekwondo is not as much fun.
No, it's not.
Because I loved kicking people in the head in tournaments, just like Bill Wallace said.
Yeah.
I loved kicking the body and then kicking the head in PKA. I loved it. I loved watching Jerry Trimble kick people in the head. If he kicked you in the head, I'm sorry, but you weren't alone. He kicked everybody in the head, from the best guys in the division on. The ATA he did too. But what's funny is in the ATA he never even made world champion. We
Oh,
have so many good athletes. Let's face it, when you got 300,000 athletes, you got a few thousand really good ones. And the
Oh,
fact that our numbers were so large that we had to have a bunch of people at the top.
yeah.
Because in your school, if you got a whole bunch of students, you'll have some great people, but they won't all be great. But they all have to be better because they came in contact with you. And if you're trying to get better every day, think what your students will do. Think what your instructors will do. They
Mm.
won't replace it. But that has to be your philosophy. I'm going to get better every day.
Yeah.
What, you know,
Hey, I have a question. You mentioned you live your day in 3-hour increments. I've never heard this before. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
well, it's really part of the secret of the master's training, but yes, I will. We set alarms the night before. The number one task in the master's training, that's the only one I'm going to give you, okay? Because I got
Yeah.
people, okay? We set the alarms the night before in 3-hour increments. We set it for 6, 9, 12, 3, 6, 9. The
Mm.
alarm goes off every time. When the alarm goes off, you put yourself in a state of mind that we want. You stand up, no matter where you are, unless you're driving, you immediately get in the state by going, yes, 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 that loud. If you're in the middle of a restaurant, you do it. If you're at church, you do it. Best thing to do is not go to church during one of the segments. If you're in a grocery store, you do it, although they make all the cops. I do where I go. And when the alarm goes off, you're supposed to reflect back.
Mm.
Did I do what I was supposed to do the last 3 hours? And what am I going to do the next 3 hours? Otherwise,
Wow.
you end up at 6 o'clock at the end of the day. What have I done so far? I'm just too tired to teach.
Wow.
A peak state of mind all day long, you'll accomplish great things. If you put yourself, all of you, through our master's training, you'll walk away a brand new person. It may not be as good as being reborn in the church, but it's damn close emotionally. But if you live in segments, and you have to, and in business, let's say it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm not, we still have, if COVID taught us anything, is that politicians are liars and that Zoom works.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so there's no excuse. We don't have any classes yet. At 3 o'clock, I want to know the last 3 hours. What did I accomplish? You can't have 0 sections in the day. What did I do? What am I going to do? Most people just say at the end of the day, well, I didn't make any money today. I guess it wasn't my fault. Nobody came in. But instead of looking at stuff at the end of the month, I got enough or I don't have enough. At the end of each 3-hour block, what did I do? What did I do physically? What did I do nutritionally? What did I do hydrationally? What did I do emotionally? Did I read my 10 pages? I mean, you must live on purpose, not accidental life.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Yeah, no, it's great.
See,
And
it makes more sense when you're in the environment and everybody's doing it.
yeah,
And there's a lot of things they have to do. I mean, you have to I'll just go through it. You have to find one glorious thing every day and write it in your book. They have a book they have to fill out. Each day is a separate page. Find one glorious thing, write it down. Because I look through the books at the end of 99 days. If you haven't done it, you just don't become the next master you want to be.
oh wow.
You have to monitor yourself and to make change. If
Yeah.
you don't want any change, you don't have to do anything. But
That's powerful.
everybody's capable of change. And the reason I want them to find one glorious thing every day, and it can be the same thing. Like every time my granddaughter runs up to me and hugs me, and then I make her do martial arts, that could be the same thing every day. Every time I get up and I put my face in the sun, that can be glorious. The last few days, there's been a full moon. Some days I'll have 9 glorious things, and some of them are simple, like there was hot water in the shower.
Yeah.
That's one of my absolutes. The car must start. I want heated seats, even though I'm in Florida, and there must be hot water in the shower. So those 3 things are absolutes that I insist on. And sometimes those are glorious. If you ever get up and there is no hot water, you'll find out how glorious hot water is.
Yeah.
But there's so many fantastic days, like a relationship with your father and daughter, and it just goes by, but you didn't realize how glorious it is on a daily basis that you can still call your dad. I can't call mine.
Yeah.
And you reckon it's just part of your life, but you don't realize this is a fantastic thing.
Mm.
I can't call my dad. I can't call my mom,
Yeah.
but you can. but you don't recognize it as being glorious. It's just whatever it is. But
Yeah.
if I were you, I'd write and put a parenthesis around it. Got to talk to dad today. He said this, and
Yeah.
that's for you. It's not for him. That's for you. And you, my daughter, is still willing to listen to me. By this time, most daughters have rejected everything. They don't know you're a genius till you're gone. You may not even recognize the genius of your relationship, the gloriousness of having a close relationship with your family. If they were,
Mm,
if you're in my master program, I'd tell you to write that down.
yeah.
Makes
Sweet.
No, that's really powerful, and definitely thanks for sharing that with us, for the viewers that are watching this. I think that that's huge. It's definitely a different way of looking at life, not just over what did I do last week? What happened last month? But being hyper focused on the day and the hours that you have in the day.
So many
That's
people say I don't have enough time. That's why I didn't make money. Everybody, I believe you can make money, you can make excuses, you can't make both. And there's no need, you won't have to.
love that.
And that's just the money part. You can be healthy or you can be unhealthy. We all have the same 24 hours. We'll all spend at least $1 million in our lifetime, and some of you won't have anything left. But if I make
Mm,
25,000 a year in 40 years, I will have spent $1 million. How did you spend it?
yeah.
Whole thing. I'm not telling you got to save every dime, but you money has a purpose. And I would like my money to pay me more money than my work does.
Mm.
Mm,
That means I got to put my money to work.
yeah.
Still got to have fun. I still got to have a lot. I'm not going to save up until I'm too old to enjoy it.
Right.
Since 1971, I've done everything I want without remorse because I have a certain amount of money I allocate for that every day. Oh, excuse me, 1976. In
Mm,
1976, I met with Grandmaster Richard Reed and I set up a schedule for how to use money. And one of the things is what is your per diem? And my per diem at the day, Grandmaster Lee gave me $25 to spend in Vegas. He says, that's not enough. Go back and ask him for more. Ask him $50. He said, okay. But he said, that's still not enough. And he said, what do you want to spend every day without remorse? 'Cause a lot of people spend money every day. Half the time they regret spending it. But if you allocate a certain amount of money that you're willing to spend every day and your partner has the same amount of money and you won't jump on their case and you won't put a guilt trip on them. And now you live with this money and the rest of the money is designed for your life. That's living. You got to live now, not when you're 50, not when you're 60,
mm,
right now. And at that time, it was a high number. I said, I want to spend 300 a day or 9,000 a month without remorse. He said, okay, get it up as soon as you can. Now mine is 1,000 a day. I'm willing to spend without remorse. And my wife has the same amount of money in an account. I'll spend 5 or 6, but I don't put another 30 in there. I put 5 in. I never have more than 30 in there. And I'm still way under what Master Reed wanted me to have in my third account to have be willing to spend 10,000 a day to live. And
wow.
I'm not there. I've got a lot of work to do. I'm
Yeah,
way
Wow.
under him. He said, be willing to spend 10,000 a day. That's your per diem. That's what we're working towards.
man.
That's
Wow.
your life. That third account is your life account. That's what I'm
Mm,
doing to live every day. The future, and somebody said, are you saving for the future? No, the future's here for me. I don't need to save that. I've already got my future account growing and building and my I have another account that's goals, but I don't take from my everyday life account for future goals. And I don't
mm,
take from I mean, I'm not going to go into the 5 bank accounts that I
yeah.
but all your money has to have a purpose. My
Yeah.
living account is for me to live the life I want every day.
Mm, mm,
In the restraints of 30,000 a month. And
yeah.
my wife has the same situation. She just never spends more than 500. She doesn't spend money.
Yeah. Yeah. When it comes to spending money, people get very tight around that. People have a lot of fallacies when it comes to their mindset around money, and what I see, what I encounter a lot, and maybe it was just because, at 18 years old, when we made the decision to I was 18, we made a decision together, my mom, my dad, myself, we're gonna invest money, we're gonna figure out how to do marketing and how to figure out the sales, because for years we've been running a school, but it just we were producing good quality martial artists, but it wasn't growing. And we made that shift to invest money. How
Right.
important do you think it is for instructors that are teaching, that are stuck, to make that shift to, I have to invest in myself. I have to invest into marketing to grow.
I think changing your habits and changing who you're with is one of the main things. I wrote the book attitude, because then there's a way most people don't understand they can change their attitude. It's
Mm.
totally up to you. That's why book. One of your questions, I remember, if I remember correctly, asked me why I wrote the book.
Yeah.
It's around so many people in the martial arts with a mindset less than positive. And all
Yes.
you gotta do is train it. I mean, every actor doesn't feel like being a badass every day, but sometimes they have to act like it. They have to learn how. Same thing for us. We have to learn how to have the right attitude. And sometimes when you don't have money, it's hard to be positive, but you can train yourself. And as your attitude and your habits get better, your life gets better. So I think you made the change somehow, but you didn't do the same thing and expect change. When you and your mom, your dad got together, you had to change something
Yeah,
and change
absolutely.
the way you operate, change the way you change your number of hours to work, change the purpose. Every business, the purpose of business is not to create jobs. The purpose of business is to create profit. No matter what you're doing, whether you're selling cars, selling martial arts, doing after school, the purpose has to be to make profit, or you won't serve the community, you won't serve your employees, you won't serve your family. So when you made the changes, just ask yourself, what changes did we make? Because you have to make some change is hard.
Yeah.
If you've ever been divorced, you'll know that, unless it was your idea. But if you ever get divorced, you'll understand change is hard. But all of us get over that, but we've just got to decide to change. And you've got to be around people that have already made the change. And you'll either reject everything they're saying, or you'll say, okay, I need this. When your goals get empowering, that's the point you're willing to make the change. Or when you get so desperate that you can't go on. That's the only way. My goals empower me so much that I have to make change. I have to go to seminar, have to go to your training, have to buy your product. I have to do this, have to invest in myself first in order for me to change. But the average martial artist, go back to your changing their mindset, they're unwilling to make any change.
Yeah.
Not only the massive changes that may be necessary, because they know what their instructor knew, and they do a little bit less than that. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of that
Yeah.
hits
Yeah.
on. You changed, and to get them willing to change, it's really like I said, it's desperation or inspiration. Inspiration's got to come from inside. I can try to supply the information, but the inspiration's got to come from them. Their desires. I'll have them set goals that are so big it makes their head swim,
Yeah.
and then maybe they get it.
I love it.
And
I
for
love it.
yourself too. I mean, no matter how great you've become,
Can always be better.
you need to not be better, but reset bigger goals.
Yeah.
Bigger goals will drive your family, will drive your success.
Yeah.
And reset them. No matter what your goals are, every single time you reach one, whether it's rank, whether it's number of students, reset. Don't sit back and go, yeah, I made it. That whole satisfaction kills a desire to improve.
Yeah. Becoming complacent where you are instead of what you want to be. Absolutely.
Well, most martial arts instructors, if they're not competing, they quit training. So they lost all the drive that martial arts gives you. That's why I try to. Anybody wants to learn business from me, they got to train. Or I don't need your money to learn business. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I need you to train. Now I know you'll get better personally. When you get better, your whole world gets better.
That's true. So what motivated you, talking about motivation, leadership, all these things, what motivated you to write your book?
I think the lack of a positive attitude in the martial artists I saw, and even what it really came from lectures I give. A lot of times I would give lectures on attitude, how to change your attitude, and somebody filmed it. And somebody else named Andrew Woods, I don't know if you ever remember Andrew Woods, he was in martial arts 2 years ago. He said, can I write a book for you with that? And he just took it and wrote down everything that I said. And my talk is pretty much direct. I don't tell a whole lot of, it's not a lot of feel good stuff. It's like, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and you'll have a better attitude. And he took it and put it in the book. And then somebody else said, we'd like to redo your book and put it in the format. I just used it for my seminars. He created the book that I used in my seminars. Somebody published the information in this book. I sent them the book, sent them the recordings, and they wrote it. They used a ghostwriter to clean up my English, take some of the words out, because Andrew just did it straight. And they come up with a book that's still a kind of a workbook. It's not like a I want to feel good book. It's about I want to change book.
Yeah.
And There's nobody out there that thinks they have a bad attitude, but they know
Mm,
100 people they think have a bad attitude. But I think through the book, if you'll write stuff down through the book has pages and directions, write this, write this, write this, you'll be able to fix that because without a great attitude, life is difficult.
oof,
That's true.
that's deep.
There are an
Yeah.
awful lot of people that are miserable and they love it because
Mm,
there are a lot of people that want to spread that. And the problem is if you're depressed and everybody around gets depressed, if you're negative, you spread it. And if you're positive, the same thing happens,
yeah,
especially if you have children. You must be a positive influence through your attitude. And your attitude, for a great attitude, you got to show it. You got to show it to people. You got to carry people with you. If I'm around a negative environment, I leave. I don't hang in there. That's one of the things. I don't listen to negative news. I don't I don't hang around negative people. So you can't choke them out. So you got to leave. To do that, I'd rather slap them and say, straighten up. Maybe the book will be as good as choking them out or slapping them. But and it'll only help the people that want to make change.
That's
yeah,
true.
That's the only reason I wrote it. So maybe I can help and also help somebody every day. Number four.
Yeah.
Number four for me and my own staff, because I can say it over and over again, maybe if they read it. Some people read it, some people feel it, some people hear it. Maybe that's the way to even help my own people, my own students, my own staff.
yeah. You know, you talk a lot about having a positive attitude. I mean, what for you has been one of the most formidable challenges that you've faced in martial arts in your career in life, and how did you overcome it? I'm sure that having that positive attitude helped you, but what was that like?
I think the biggest things is the disappointment that you get from lack of integrity in some people that claim they teach integrity, loyalty to people you have loyalty for. Now, I'm just not talking about instructors, I'm talking about organization wise also. The total lack of recognition for what my instructors have done for people. But because I have the principles I have, and my number one principle is to be happy, I can't do it with a bad attitude. So I go
Mm,
to my principles. My principles get me through everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. My principles carry me through physical injury, pains, disappointment, heartbreak. Because number five is be willing to fall in love again. If you set your principles correctly, they'll carry you through all the battles. The
Mm.
problem is most people don't have any guiding principles. Maybe if they're in a church, they have some. Maybe if their whole thing is make as much money as possible, that'll guide them. But without principles, you don't have any way to make a decision. What are
yeah,
you basing it on? What are you basing every single decision in your life on? But when I have these, is this going to take away my freedom by making me work 300 days a year? Hooking me again? But I mean, the principles that I told you about, they help me through everything.
yeah,
That I
yeah,
don't know if that makes sense or not. I don't really have challenge. I got stuff that's I got to get over or around, but I already know that I will. I mean, one time I in an industrial accident, I cut my hand off. This
oh,
hand, I cut it off,
oh my
and
gosh,
it was miserable for a few days until I got hold of myself. I've lost fights in PKA that I was on the path to be. I thought I was going to be a professional baseball player in high
mm,
school, and then something happened. I thought I was going to be a world champion in PK, and then something happened. Somebody better than me. So I mean, but principles carried me through every time, and the support of people like Grandmaster H.U. Lee, Master Richard Reed. When you got support around you, other people that understand, not trying to say, "Oh yeah, that's terrible." They didn't give me that. I don't need to support their depression, or they didn't need to support my disappointment in people or places or things. They just said, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" Especially Master Reed. Well, good. What's the next step?
mm,
Not let's get even. What's the next step?
mm,
You know, what's the next step? How do I deal with this? You can't, but I do not roll stuff over and over in my mind. What went wrong? Why didn't he win the last election? Why did this happen in the ATA? Why did I lose? I don't roll stuff in my mind. So, okay, I got to get over that. Usually to get out of that, and you'll find it in the book on attitude, I
mhm,
use music and movement.
mm,
You're depressed, work out. You're sad, work out. Use music. Those two things and positive self-talk. I'm really big on affirmations.
Yeah.
And so the affirmations don't work. Well, they work for me. For how long? I don't know, 77 years so far. That's how far, you know.
Counting.
Somebody said, "Oh, if you lived your whole life positive," I said, "Not yet."
Nice.
Yeah, I intend to though. I mean, so I think, I rebranded myself long ago. I don't do how are you doing? I'm okay. I don't do any of that. How are you
Mm,
doing? I'm fantastic. And it's my job to be fantastic.
yeah. Yeah. One of our core values, and we've just really adopted this over the last couple of years and really trying to weave it into everything we're doing is the core value that we have is be great, not good. And so I've recently, over the last 6 months, I've really tried when people ask me that question, hey, how you doing today? My old habit was just to say good because that's, you grow up with that habit, right? And so I've changed that. And when somebody says, hey, how you doing today? I'm great, not good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
I call that in my book, rebranding yourself.
Yeah.
mm,
And
I
you got
like
to
that.
stick to that. You're rebranding yourself. You can't be fine. You
No.
can't be okay. You can't be, I've been better. You can't be, I'm not feeling good. You've got to, I'm fantastic and you're great. You're not good.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Powerful.
rebranding yourself is one of the simple keys. Then, well, that's just lying. No, not really.
No,
Not if you believe it.
you have to believe it. If you have to believe it. Yeah.
If you got the right attitude and the right belief system about yourself, you can be very confident that you'll be successful in life. But with that, it's ABC. You got those three, you got life by the tail.
Yeah. Now you, in the interview, one of the interviews I was watching, you talked about your opening up your school and thinking, okay, I'm going to actually make money with this thing. And there's a lot of school owners, I think, that don't even have that. I encounter a lot of school owners, and we were that way at one time. I was just like, okay, I want to teach, but I don't necessarily want to make money. Do you think that that's something that all instructors, if they want to teach at a really high level, need to understand that they go hand in hand? Need to be able to teach and make money?
When people tell me, well, I don't do this to make money, I go, obviously, you know,
Mm,
they don't do the things necessary to make money, but
Yeah.
it's also a lie. I mean, then why don't you just teach for free? But they
oh,
don't. Just go to a club and teach for free if you don't do it for money. They just don't want to put the effort out to make a real career out of this. So they're a terrible example to their students. So they don't create any instructors. So you're a disservice to the whole industry if you don't make enough to be financially abundant. That's our calling in life from the Bible, to be abundant from
Exactly.
life, not to be broke. And you don't have to make money in the martial arts, but it's certainly better for your family if you do. Now, I know a lot of people that have a career, so they do martial arts as a hobby. Well, then don't expect to make money in that. And I had great examples. When I was in Omaha working for, it wasn't the ATA then, it was the Midwest Karate Federation. I was there before there was the ATA. But I went to Master Reed's house, and he had done it by having a martial arts school. And his house, to me, was a mansion at that time. And I
mm,
was there and going, this is what I'm going to do. When I left Omaha, I didn't concentrate on making money, though. I concentrated from day one on making instructors.
mm,
When I concentrate, everybody else was trying to get white belts. I was concentrating on making instructors. I think that made all the difference in the world for me. I mean, that helped me. The very first year I was in business, I netted over $100,000.
wow.
And that was a mindset Master Reed had told me. He said, I want you to go down there in the first year and do 100,000.
Mm,
And I busted my butt to do it. When I called him after that, about usually every February for the last until he died, we got together. And I said, well, I did it. I had to pay tax on $100,000. That was so painful. He said, what do you mean? I said, no, I had $100,000 worth of taxable income, which I was just finding out what that meant. He said, why? He said, you told me to. He said, I told you to gross $100,000. So I had no clue. Now, in those days, my overhead was, I really did about 144,000 gross. But he said, and so I said, oh, I must have misunderstood you. So from after that, I set high goals, expecting to reach it. Well,
Yeah.
your expectation. He said, I told you to gross $100,000 because people weren't really making money in the 70s. They weren't, but he was, and he was trying to help people. He was very inspirational financially, and Grandmaster Lee was very inspirational developing instructors and having understand how important they were. The only asset we have in our business is our people, not money,
Mm.
not buildings, not rent, not a new car. Our people are the only asset worth worrying about.
Mm.
I was lucky enough to understand both of those from day one. Here's the goal: go make this money. Concentrate on instructors,
mm,
not build a bunch of students, not test 100 people, not how many active students do you have. That's you get that information from people that don't know martial art, don't know business, and they can't help you. If they're telling you how many active students they got, they can't help you make money. because they don't even understand the business. It's nothing to do with students, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, there is so much wealth of information
It's
that
amazing.
we've gotten here today. I'm super appreciative for you to have been here. What is ahead for you? You're constantly growing, you're constantly doing that. I mean, what's ahead? How do people get in touch with you?
I'll have Miss Harrison's going to send you the link for the next seminar and how to get in touch with me. But I mean, I'm building the Warrior program within other organizations. I want to help instructors be better. I have training 4 times a year that people can come in for 3 days. When they walk away, they're transformed. I have a rank system that helps people, if they can't test in their own organization or if they don't have an instructor, help people train, teach, and seek new ranks. And the Warrior system is here to assist instructors no matter who they're with, no matter where they came from. I'm not like, I know some people dropped out of the ATA, and the people still in the ATA are totally opposite of They hate them. They hate them because they dropped out.
Mm,
I watched Chu Lee get his heart broken by people that left. Next time he saw him, give him the biggest hug in the world, tell him how much he loved them. That's
mm,
it. People are a big part of your life one time, they still are forever. I watched him do it. I follow the same example. I'm not worried about past history. Like I said at number 4, I'm going to help somebody every day. So ahead for me is to help as many instructors as possible, to make as many masters transform their life and train to be extraordinary as possible, and to have a lot of fun in the meantime. Let me tell you, the next one is in September. We got Master von Schmeling talking about everything it takes to have multiple schools. We have business training along the way, and we have a certification in styles that you may or may not have trained in, but you should. And we have people from 9th degree black belts to parents that never took a lesson going through a 3-day certification.
wow.
And it'll be fun and have a good time all the time. To live your life on vacation, I can help you do it.
Yeah, that
Love
sounds
it.
like
I love it. Grandmaster Clark, thank you again. Thanks very
yeah,
much for being here on the Seven Figure Secrets podcast.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the question in advance. I'm glad we got to train together in the past.
oh
Maybe
yeah,
we will in the future. It'll be more fun this time. We'll
yeah,
get okay. And you too, ma'am. Well, probably
Yes, sir.
40% of the Warrior Masters are females. So come
Yes,
see us.
sir.
We'll have fun together. Okay. I like
Love
what
it.
you're doing. I watch you on the internet. Great job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.